This It's On moment is brought to you by On Nicotine Pouches.
If you're just tuning in, we're on the first tee at Fairway Links, and Spencer is up last.
Steve, he's got to be feeling the heat. Everyone's had a monster drive so far.
No doubt, Sue. A hush falls over the foursome as Spencer brings his club back.
Oh, Steve, it looks like it's on.
Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Peter Zablocki, and you're listening to History Shorts. I hope everyone's having a great day so far, and thank you for making this show a small part of that. If you'd like to help me out with a small gesture, please leave History Shorts a rating or a review, and click that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. For sources and books used as the basis for these episodes, how to advertise on a show, and other information such as a list of our upcoming guests on the Conversation series, or a link to our Patreon account where you can find exclusive episodes not heard here, please visit www.historyshortspodcast.com. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate podcast listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the globe, all in one place. Download Podcast Republic now and take your podcast experience to the next level. Having said all of that, Thomas Nast's story is often recounted as an early case of power of the press. The newspaper cartoonist demonstrated that satirical illustration could serve as public education, with a precision that words alone lacked. His cartoons made corruption visible, accountable, and stoppable, in a way that even the most lucid critique in prose just simply could not. He distilled scandal into startling images, making justice both compelling and accessible. And here is the rest of that story.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941,
it's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Thomas Nast was born in Bavaria in 1840, immigrating to the United States at the age of 6. His family settled in New York City, where his father, a trombonist in the Bavarian 9th Regiment, took work with local orchestras to support the household. From a young age, Nast demonstrated a precarious artistic talent, but struggled academically, particularly with reading and writing. In the end, it was this shortcoming that made his eventual mastery of visual storytelling even more significant. At 15, he joined the staff at Frank Leslie's illustrated newspaper as an apprentice illustrator. By 1862, he had joined Harper's Weekly, where his vivid battlefield sketches, infused with idealism and emotional clarity, gained national attention during the Civil War. Nast's illustrations became essential instruments of Northern morale. President Abraham Lincoln reportedly referred to him as the Union's best recruiting sergeant, remarking that his drawings brought the war home to readers far removed from its battlefields. He used allegory and satire to frame the war as a moral crusade, contrasting Union ideals with Confederate tyranny. After the war, Nast's ambitions shifted from sustaining the Union to defending the Republic itself against domestic threats. This time, it was not from the battlefield, but from political corruption in the nation's largest city, New York City. By the late 1860s, New York's Tammany Hall political machine wielded immense control over the city's governance. Under the leadership of William Boss Tweed, the Tammany organization secured loyalty through patronage, favors, and an extensive immigrant voting bloc. The Tweed Ring, comprising Tweed Mayor A. Oakley Hall, Comptroller Richard Slippery Dick Connolly, and City Chamberlain Peter Brains Sweeney, devised elaborate schemes to plunder the city's treasury. Their graft primarily revolved around public works projects, notably the construction of the New York City County Courthouse, later known as Tweed's Courthouse, where padded invoices and fake contracts funneled millions into their pockets. The scale of the theft was staggering, At the courthouse alone, records showed cost overruns so extreme that a simple broom closet furnishings were billed as $7,000. That was a fortune in 1870 dollars. In total, historians estimate Tweed and his associates embezzled between $45 million to $200 million, which today is equivalent to billions. While investigative reporting existed, including early exposés from the New York Times, few methods could communicate the ring's corruption as powerfully as the work of Thomas Nast. At Harper's Weekly, Nast pioneered the idea of the political cartoon as a weapon of reform rather than a mere entertainment. In an era where literacy rates among immigrants were extremely low, Nast's imagery became democratic ammunition. He condensed the sprawling mechanics of corruption into symbols the public could instantly recognize. One of the most effective early cartoons, the group portrait from 1871, depicted Tweed and his cronies encircling each other, each pointing to the next man under the caption, "'Twas him." This mirrored the ring's real-life legal strategy of passing blame in endless circles, while visually hammering home the theme of collective guilt. Another famous cartoon, The Brains, also from 1871, portrayed Tweed's face attached to a massive money bag in place of a skull, suggesting that his intellect began and ended with greed. Tweed understood the potency of Nast's imagery better than anyone. He is reputed to have told a colleague, "Stop them damned pictures. I don't care so much what the papers write about me, my constituents can't read anyway, but damn it, they can see the pictures." By 1870, Nast had focused his entire creative energy on dismantling Tammany Hall's stranglehold on the city. Over the next 2 years, he published more than 160 cartoons targeting Tweed, many taking aim at the broader social consequences of graft. In one, he depicted the Tammany Tiger devouring democracy itself during an arena spectacle. He framed corruption not simply as theft, but as civic collapse. While Nast provided the images, the New York Times supplied corroboration, securing copies of financial records showing padded contracts and fake vendors. The combination proved devastating. Nast's illustrations galvanized public anger, while the Times' investigations validated his accusations. In November of 1871, reform candidates swept municipal elections, ousting Tammany loyalists from key positions. Tweed himself was arrested later that year. In 1873, after a sensational trial, he was convicted on charges of larceny and fraud. Although he briefly escaped to Spain in 1875, you guys can find that episode somewhere in the library of the History Shorts podcast. He was captured after authorities recognized him from a widely circulated Nast cartoon, a testament to the artist's reach beyond politics into practical enforcement. Tweed died in prison in 1878, symbolizing the ultimate triumph of public accountability over entrenched corruption. While Nast's campaign against Tammany Hall became his defining work, his artistic influence extended beyond New York politics. Through his cartoons, he helped shape enduring political symbols. He popularized the Republican elephant in an 1874 cartoon titled The Third Term Panic, portraying the GOP as a mighty yet cautious beast. Similarly, his depiction of the Democratic donkey gave the party its long-standing emblem, a symbol he adapted from earlier visual traditions but reimagined with sharp satire. Nast also transformed holiday imagery. In 1863, an illustration titled Merry Old Santa Claus introduced a round-bearded Santa dressed in fur-trimmed attire, solidifying a vision of the character still dominant today. His Santa Claus series merged sentimentally with patriotism, becoming one of his most beloved contributions to American visual culture. Beyond municipal reform, Nast waged battles over national identity during the fraught Reconstruction era. He used his platform at Harper's to advocate fiercely for abolition, black suffrage, and the civil rights protections enshrined in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. His 1867 cartoon, This is a White Man's Government, portrayed former Confederates, Northern Democrats, and racists trampling over a black Union veteran, lying bare the violent backlash against Reconstruction policies. In Compromise with the South from 1864, he depicted President Lincoln's critics as betraying the sacrifices of fallen soldiers by acquiescing the Confederate demands. Nast believed that federal protections for formerly enslaved people were a moral necessity, and he consistently aligned himself with radical Republicans who championed robust Reconstruction efforts. Yet, Nast's record was complex. While he championed civil rights for African Americans, his cartoons were often deeply hostile toward Irish Catholics, whom he depicted as ape-like figures or violent mobs, undermining democratic institutions. Similarly, during the debates over Chinese immigration in the 1870s, he published illustrations defending Chinese laborers as hard-working victims of discrimination, while simultaneously perpetuating paternalistic stereotypes. These contradictions revealed the tensions in Nast's worldview. He wielded art as a progressive tool, but was limited by the prejudice of his own era. By the late 1870s, Nast's influence started to diminish. Changes in editorial leadership at Harper's Weekly shifted the magazine's political tone, and new rivals in the illustrated press emerged. His relentless critiques of corruption alienated some Republican Party leaders, particularly as the party itself became increasingly associated with patronage and corporate influence. In 1884, Nast finally broke ranks, endorsing Democrat Grover Cleveland over Republican James G. Blaine, a move credited by some historians with helping Cleveland secure victory. Financial mismanagement compounded his professional decline. A failed investment in a publishing venture eroded his savings, forcing Nast into lecture circuits and freelance work to support his family. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt, recognizing Nast's contributions to political reform, appointed him U.S. Consul General to Ecuador. Tragically, less than a year into his service, Nast contracted yellow fever and died at the age of 62. Thanks for listening.